Welcome back to the Homestand Show. Albert Vartanian, James Sharman, Justin Pooney. We're now joined by Crina Mustafa of the program. Welcome.
Thank you. It's almost as if you almost got my middle name wrong before.
I know. Thank God I asked you. I thought it was Maria. It's Maria. Maria's nice. I like Maria's a nice name. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm
not
excited to
not
be
as
here.
good as Bianca Andreescu.
Oh, wow. What a segue,
She's not doing well at all, though.
No. Okay, so Bianca Andreescu, just in case you don't know, she hurt herself on Monday night at the Miami Open. One hell of a scream when she went down. I think most people thought maybe she broke her leg, broke her foot, or potentially maybe ripped her Achilles apart. But as of right now, that may not be the case. She's got a brace on her foot. It's unfortunate. This is someone who was very successful in winning the U.S. Open in 2019, but has dealt with so many injuries. And it just felt, I don't know if you felt this way too, that she was kind of turning a corner, getting back to the old Bianca. And now this setback is going to be killer for her.
Yeah, she was playing some of the best tennis that we've seen her play since returning from her injuries, from her mental health break as well. It felt like she was finally stringing together like many consecutive matches. Like even before this, like she lost to Iga Swiatek at Indian Wells, like we've spoken about, and still that match showed like really high quality tennis. She pushed her to her limits. So it was really sad to see her. Like even in Miami, she defeated Maria Sakkari in like, I think there was the second round. So that was like her first like top 10 win in God knows how long. And to see her like go out with an injury that might actually keep her out for, I don't even know how long of a time. That's a bit of a bummer because I feel like out of all the Canadians, she was the best one, like playing at the best level right now. So,
Well, I mean, by the screams, she's out for a while, right?
I mean, she said it was the worst pain she ever
Yeah.
felt. So.
And I'm a bit concerned about her, to be honest with you. In that we see this over and over again. Young players, right, playing in this grueling WTA schedule, right? And players having early success, playing all these games, all these matches, tournaments, and then breaking down, and then having this career which has been blighted by injury. I mean, Jeannie Bouchard's another example, right, of Canadian perspective, but there's many others. At what point are you concerned that physically she's breaking down too early?
You see, I actually wasn't concerned. Like, I think with her coming back, I was actually feeling less and less concerned. I was starting to feel a bit more confident. This does make me feel a bit worse than I would have if she had just like been able to stay healthy, but I'm still on the optimistic side. I don't think I'm there yet where I'm like she's gonna be plagued by injuries her whole career, because there is just some that you really can't control, like in this case, which may be an ankle sprain. Like you really can't control that, even if you're like injury prone or not injury prone. Like we've seen it happen, like Alex Zverev last year, like that was a very, very high grade ankle sprain, and he's back and playing now. So I think she'll be okay. I'm not some sort of doctor, but I'm not worried about her yet.
Do you think that scream could have been the fear of getting injured again, right? That hitting her like, oh, again.
Well,
no.
yeah, because she screamed. She said, "Not again."
Right.
And I think like that's also like, you know, part of her like mental health break too. Like just dealing with all of this is a lot, and then to have it happen when you feel like you're at your top level again, like that's got to be like excruciating.
And I want to touch on that because you mentioned the mental health break and stuff like that. Being that she's dealing with injuries and after injuries, and she was just getting back, won 6 straight matches, and to now have another setback. How do you think that affects her mentally? Just feeling that she finally turned that corner, but then another setback. Do you think, how could she go about it and really turn that corner and just get back to playing tennis and being happy in what she's doing?
Well, I think the tweet that she put out the morning after shows just how much her attitude has changed, because I think normally, like before that mental health break, if that had happened to her again, she probably would have felt a lot worse. But I think now she's kind of learned to have the support system around her, kind of learned how to deal with that stuff. And I think like having like met her and spoken with her before, she has a great attitude towards a lot of stuff in life. And I think she's very mature, and she realizes that even though it was a really heartbreaking setback, I think she knows that she will get better again.
How would you rate the Canadians' performance at the Miami Open?
Listen, okay. All of them got eliminated in singles, but Layla is still in doubles action. She made it to the semifinals with her partner, Taylor Townsend. So I can't put Layla at the bottom. I can't really put any of them at the bottom, except maybe for Felix. I'm a bit disappointed with Felix's level. I know we talked about how I had a lot of confidence in him to do well, but it just feels like he's still not there yet with the level that he was at the end of last season. It feels like he's getting in his head too much. He's spraying the ball. He's going too much for it. And then Shapo, I mean, he was doing well. He lost to Taylor Fritz, who's actually on a rip of like amazing tennis right now. So that loss I can digest. And then with Layla losing in singles, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Her and Felix, I feel like they feel like they have to go through such big shots to win their opponent, like to beat their opponent, and then that just messes up their own game because they're not able to play how they play, and it just ends up in unforced errors and all these different things that are leading to their losses.
All right, we're talking to Crina Mustafa of the program. Let's transition to some NCAA, the women's Final Four. You have South Carolina, LSU, Iowa. It's going to be a fantastic Final Four. South Carolina, the favorites to go all the way. Before we get into Caitlin Clark, because we have to talk about her, how would you rank these Final Four teams heading into Friday's games?
Well, considering South Carolina is the only one that was still in my bracket, I'd have to put them first. This one's hard because like Virginia Tech was the only 1 seed remaining. I thought that Indiana would have made it and not Virginia Tech, but I guess I'll put them second. So I'll probably go like South Carolina, Virginia Tech, then Iowa, then LSU.
South Carolina is just that much better than everybody else.
Yeah,
it just feels that way when you watch them play.
They're so put together as a team. Like they execute on all the sides of the floor, and I just don't see anyone upsetting them. Like I feel like they've taken care of the ball every single matchup. Okay,
Caitlin Clark, the first 40-point triple-double the NCAA tournament has ever seen. 41, 12, in 10. You don't see this, and she's obviously a special player. That type of performance, I think, can elevate the sport to heights that maybe just general promotion and anything else can possibly do for the game. Am I crazy by saying that?
No, I mean, you look at the comments on like that post where she had that triple double, like all the sports pages are posting them. All the comments are like extremely positive.
A lot of
like
love.
A lot of people recognize like her talent and her greatness, and I think she brings that viewership and that loyalty to any game that she's going to play in. Even like in the matchup that they had, Iowa versus Louisville, like on the other side on Louisville, Haley Van Lith, she has like 700,000 followers on Instagram. Like these players, like they're going to drive the viewership just by being who they are. And I think Caitlin Clark's been a good example of that.
Caitlin Clark, John Cena was shouting her out. Stephen A. Smith said that was
she had the John Cena.
Yeah, she had the "You Can't See Me." Like I think it's great for women's basketball that like you mentioned. I saw all on social media, like, everything was about Caitlin Clark. I think it was an unbelievable game, and she, But I also want to talk about the WNBA. Her and Aaliyah Boston, right? You were actually taught me today that I didn't know women players have to stay till 22 before they declare to the W.
Yes.
Looking at those two, what are their WNBA prospects?
So we don't know yet if Aaliyah Boston is declaring for the draft this year. They have 48 hours based on when their teams are eliminated. But if she declares this year, she for sure is going number 1. Like she is like kind of the undisputed, like everybody agrees that she's going to go number 1. If Caitlin Clark is a senior next year, she could use her COVID 5th year. I mean, so could Aaliyah this year. So she doesn't know yet what she's going to do. But if she decides to go for the draft next year's draft is really deep. But I still think Caitlin Clark would be like top 3.
So these players only have 48 hours to make that decision?
Yeah, so
after they're eliminated.
there's a bunch of different rules. Like yesterday was some sort of deadline for majority of the teams, but for the teams that are still in it, they still have some extra time to declare. But a lot of the names are out already, and there are some players that have declared for the draft and have also put themselves in the transfer portal that still have an extra year. So it's all very weird rules.
It's a pretty tight turnaround, 48 hours.
48
I'm sure
hours.
I mean, the draft is April 10th.
Yeah.
And the tournament ends literally this weekend.
Yeah, so this is the best possible showcase for a lot of these players.
Yeah.
What's the money like for WNBA players?
So I think the max salary is 170,000, something like that. There's not many players making that much. The salaries are not really where you want them to be. The average salary is $60,000.
Right, but that will just change in time with more eyeballs on these players.
Yeah.
And like we've seen so far in this tournament, right?
Yeah.
More numbers from a viewership standpoint than we've seen for a very long time, forever.
And that's why a lot of these players are considering, these college players are considering that 5th COVID year and going back, because they know they can make more through NIL deals, and you literally will gain more money that way.
You want to touch on viewership?
Just viewership. I mean, and women's sports in general. Obviously, we're seeing some success with this tournament. But I'm looking at the WSL, which is Women's Soccer League in England, which is the Premier League essentially in England. The Women's Sports Trust released data saying that this past season, at any one time, 37.6 million viewers watched the WSL, up 5 million viewers from the year before. Now, what's interesting is 8 million of those 37.6 million viewers never watched the Premier League. So they're just focused on women's soccer only, and it seems to me that's how you grow these sports.
For sure. There's
time for
so
both?
many. Yeah, there's so many women's basketball fans that I know that are just fans of women's basketball,
Right.
and they are actually very loud about it. So I think if they want to market that moving forward, you need to market to the audience that you have already.
All right, we're still talking to Crina Mustafa of the program. Let's transition a little bit because you're tapped into all of basketball, not just women's basketball. Toronto Raptors had a really good performance against a really good team in the Miami Heat. Yes, okay, no Jimmy
They're
Butler.
officially mid now.
Oh, here we go.
I
Hold
knew
on.
he was
Don't
gonna
even
sneak
listen.
that in.
No Jimmy Butler. Kyle Lowry wasn't at his best, but it was still the Miami Heat, a team that's ahead of them, a team that the Toronto Raptors are chasing. How much hope does a win like that give you for their chances in the play-in?
It's interesting because the person you're talking to doesn't have a lot of enthusiasm for this team, because I think they have they have their own ceiling. I think wins like this are good for like their morale in general because this is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be taking care of business, so that's nice. For me, I'm in the boat of if they make the plan, whatever. If they don't make the plan, whatever. They still have so much work they need to do in terms of like constructing their roster.
So you were pro tank before the
I'm
deadline.
not pro anything. I'm pro let them play and see what happens, and then
Just roll the dice and whatever
let
happens,
the front
happens.
office make the decisions they have to.
She's
do.
waiting for another championship contender to come to Toronto. Then I guess to get really back on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, take off your analyst hat
Okay.
and put you in the Raptors fan shoes.
Okay.
Have you forgotten about the 2019 championship? Is that it happened in the past and now we need to move on from that?
I don't think I've forgotten about it. Sometimes I just think to myself, "Oh, that's so cool that we won that." But I think,
But it's what's next,
It's
right?
a bit in the past. Yeah,
Thank
like
you.
you still
Let's try
have
to make that point yesterday,
you have
guys.
to move forward and be like, okay, we like that is literally in the past. We don't have a lot of those players
She's so
anymore.
cold.
Yeah,
She's so
I love it.
loose.
Crina
Wow.
Maria Mustafa of the program. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's unpleasant at times, but we try. We try. All right, coming up, me, Justin, and James. We're going to chat with Andrew Zuber. The Blue Jays kick off their season tomorrow against the St. Louis Cardinals.